In every generation, there are men who walk quietly through the world, unnoticed at first glance, yet unforgettable once encountered. They are not the loudest in the room, nor are they the ones chasing attention. Their strength lies in something far more subtle, an energy that is both mysterious and magnetic. These men are Sigma males. Unlike those who rely on status or outward charm, the Sigma male's appeal often stems from his restraint, his independence, and the way he carries himself without the need for applause. He moves at his own pace, stands apart from social hierarchies, and builds a life rooted in authenticity. Women sense this difference immediately, not because he is trying to impress, but because he is not. Attraction, after all, is rarely about what is obvious. It is often about what is hidden. A glance, a silence, a posture, or even the refusal to play games can speak louder than grand gestures. For many women, the Sigma's greatest allure is not in what he says, but in what he chooses to keep unsaid. His mystery is not a performance, it is simply who he is. This quiet magnetism reflects an ancient truth. Throughout history, men who were comfortable in solitude, who carried themselves with purpose and clarity, often inspired curiosity and admiration. They did not need to declare their worth. It revealed itself in the way they lived. And in today's fast-moving, noisy world, this kind of presence feels even rarer and therefore even more captivating. So in this video, let's explore 6 mysterious things Sigma males do that turn women on, not in loud or exaggerated ways, but in subtle gestures and behaviors that communicate strength, depth, and value. These traits are not tricks, they are reflections of a man who knows himself, and because of that, naturally draws others toward him. Number 1, they speak less, yet say more. A Sigma's silence isn't empty, it's intentional, and that's what makes it powerful. In a world where constant chatter often fills the air, his quietness becomes a rare signal of depth. He avoids the endless cycle of small talk, not because he lacks words, but because he values them. When he finally chooses to speak, his words carry the weight of thought, precision, and self-control. This contrast between silence and carefully chosen speech creates a magnetic pull. It suggests that there is more beneath the surface, that what he shares is only a fraction of a much larger world inside him. From a psychological perspective, this behavior aligns with what researchers call selective self-disclosure. Studies in communication show that people who reveal themselves sparingly, yet meaningfully, are often perceived as more trustworthy and intriguing. Women in particular are drawn to this balance of mystery and revelation. It's the same principle that underpins storytelling. When everything is revealed at once, the magic disappears. But when hints are given slowly, interest only grows. A Sigma male doesn't try to entertain through volume. Instead, he engages through scarcity. Each sentence feels like a rare glimpse into his private world, and that scarcity makes it valuable. Culturally, history has long celebrated men of few words. Leaders like Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, are remembered not for constant speeches, but for distilled wisdom recorded in meditations. Similarly, samurai culture admired those who practiced brevity, seeing restraint in speech as a mark of discipline and strength. These archetypes reflect the same principle. Silence can be more commanding than noise, and a few deliberate words can echo longer than endless chatter. For women, the Sigma's silence signals control and emotional independence. Unlike men who rush to fill gaps with nervous talk or oversharing, he is comfortable with quiet. This self-possession communicates that he doesn't seek validation, nor does he fear stillness. In relationships, this can be deeply attractive as it suggests stability and inner strength. Rather than being drained by constant explanations or dramatics, his presence feels grounding. Ultimately, the Sigma's silence isn't a void, it's a canvas. What he withholds creates space for curiosity, and what he says leaves lasting impressions. His mystery isn't manufactured. It's the natural outcome of living authentically, without the need for applause or attention. In a noisy world, his quiet confidence becomes an irresistible form of communication, one that speaks louder than words ever could. Number 2, they move with calm confidence. Instead of rushing or fidgeting, Sigma males carry themselves with ease. Their body language speaks of quiet assurance. This stillness is powerful in a society where many are restless. It signals emotional control, which women instinctively recognize as strength. But let's take a closer look at why this matters so much, not only in attraction but also in how we perceive authority, confidence, and influence in everyday life. Psychologists have long studied the subtle power of body language. Research shows that over 70% of human communication is non-verbal, meaning people are often judged more by how they move, stand, or sit than by what they say. A Sigma's calm presence taps into this primal psychology. When a man doesn't feel the need to over-explain himself or constantly shift around nervously, his silence and steadiness are read as confidence. In evolutionary terms, this is no small detail. Throughout history, leaders and protectors were often the ones who projected strength without wasted energy. A man who conserved motion appeared more capable of making smart decisions in high-pressure situations. In modern times, this stillness translates into what we call executive presence. Think of figures like Steve Jobs or Keanu Reeves, individuals who didn't need to raise their voices or dominate conversations to command respect. Their quietness was not weakness, it was composure. A Sigma naturally embodies this, not as an act, but as a lifestyle. He doesn't compete for the spotlight, yet his calm detachment often makes others turn their heads when he walks into a room. From a social perspective, this kind of energy is magnetic because it contrasts with the chaos most people live in. In a world filled with scrolling thumbs, restless chatter, and constant distraction, someone who appears centered feels like an anchor. Women in particular tend to notice this stability because emotional steadiness signals reliability and safety. Biologically, humans are wired to seek partners who can weather storms without collapsing under stress. That is why a Sigma's composure stands out. He doesn't just look calm, he radiates the kind of inner discipline that suggests he can handle life's challenges. Of course, this doesn't mean Sigma males are emotionless statues. They simply know when to conserve their energy and when to release it. Their calmness is a choice, rooted in self-control. And in a society where busyness is often mistaken for productivity, their stillness becomes an act of rebellion, a subtle way of saying, I move when it matters, not when the world tells me to. This is what makes their presence so powerful, quiet, yet unforgettable. Number 3. They remain unaffected by attention. While others chase validation like it's oxygen, the Sigma male operates differently. His sense of self is not a balloon inflated by compliments, nor is it a fragile glass shattered by criticism. Instead, his self-worth comes from a foundation he has built within, a mixture of self-awareness, independence, and resilience. This kind of detachment is rare, and it's exactly what makes him so fascinating, especially to women who are accustomed to men bending under the weight of external opinions. Psychologists describe this quality as internal locus of control, meaning the Sigma believes that his life is shaped more by his own actions and mindset than by what others think of him. Research in personality psychology has shown that people with this internal orientation tend to have higher confidence, greater problem-solving skills, and more stable emotional states. They don't crumble when they're criticized, nor do they lose themselves in the highs of praise. The Sigma male embodies this principle almost effortlessly. Think of it this way. In a society that thrives on likes, shares, and public validation, the Sigma male is the anomaly who doesn't need an audience. His calm detachment communicates strength without a single word. For women, this creates a paradox that is hard to resist. On one hand, they may want to test his boundaries. Will a compliment soften him? Will a cutting remark break through? Yet when neither works, it sends a powerful signal. This man is not easily swayed. His value system is not external, it's internal, self-forged. This detachment is not coldness, it's balance. A Sigma doesn't reject connection or feedback. He simply refuses to let them define him. It's like the difference between a tree swaying in the wind versus one rooted firmly in the ground. The wind may rustle its branches, but it doesn't uproot the tree. That's the Sigma's mindset, grounded, steady, and quietly unshakable. From an evolutionary perspective, this trait makes sense. In times past, survival often favored those who could remain calm under pressure rather than those desperate for approval. Today, this calmness translates into a kind of modern magnetism. Women instinctively read his composure as confidence and security. In a world filled with uncertainty, being around someone who doesn't rise and fall with every opinion feels safe, even alluring. Ultimately, the Sigma male's secret is simple. He lives by his own compass, Validation doesn't inflate him, and criticism doesn't deflate him. He remains balanced, self-sustained, and focused on his own path, and that quiet strength, more than charm, looks, or status, is what makes him unforgettable. Number 4, they value solitude without seeming lonely. Women notice when a man enjoys his own company, and this subtle trait often leaves a lasting impression. In a world where many people are constantly seeking validation, approval, or companionship to avoid loneliness, a man who can sit comfortably with himself stands out as rare. Sigma males, in particular, embody this quality. For them, solitude is not a punishment or an empty space to be hurriedly filled. It is a well of strength. They use time alone to recharge, reflect, and grow. Psychology backs this up. Research shows that people who can embrace solitude often demonstrate higher levels of self-awareness, creativity, and emotional resilience. Instead of fearing silence, they harness it as a tool for inner balance. This independence creates a magnetic curiosity in women. When a man appears complete on his own, he sends a powerful signal. He does not need external validation to feel valuable. This lack of desperation changes everything. Social psychology studies highlight that humans are naturally drawn to what seems scarce or hard to attain. A man who is not chasing attention becomes intriguing because he positions himself as someone selective, not needy. He becomes the prize, not the pursuer. Women notice this difference instinctively. If he is content on his own, then choosing to share his time becomes a conscious gift, not a desperate attempt to fill a void. Throughout history, some of the most admired figures were those who found strength in solitude. Think of philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, who wrote meditations during his quiet reflections, or inventors like Nikola Tesla, who credited his solitary walks with sparking groundbreaking ideas. Even modern science recognizes the power of this mindset. A 2017 study in the Personality and Social Psychology Bulletin found that people who were comfortable being alone tended to make better independent decisions, unaffected by peer pressure or social comparison. This very autonomy is what women find captivating. It shows a man is rooted, steady, and less likely to be swayed by fleeting trends or opinions. For Sigma males, solitude is not withdrawal from life, but a deeper way of engaging with it. They return from their quiet spaces with clarity, purpose, and a calm presence that is felt immediately. To women, this is refreshing. It contrasts sharply with men who seek constant entertainment or companionship as a way of escaping themselves. The Sigma's comfort in solitude proves he has mastered something essential, being at peace with his own mind. And that, more than charm or status, is what sparks genuine attraction. Number 5, they observe before they act. Instead of reacting impulsively, Sigma males take time to notice details. This deliberate awareness sets them apart in a world where most people rush past the subtleties of human interaction. A Sigma man is the type to remember the way someone's eyes shifted when they were uncomfortable, or how a friend's voice softened when they mentioned something important. He doesn't rely on surface-level observations. He listens with all his senses, picking up on gestures, tones, and even the pauses between words. Psychologists call this high social awareness, a trait linked to emotional intelligence, where one can interpret unspoken cues and underlying emotions. Unlike extroverts who often dominate a space with energy, the Sigma male controls it quietly, through presence, attentiveness, and patience. This level of awareness can be magnetic. Women in particular find themselves drawn to men who make them feel deeply seen without needing validation or flattery. Studies in relationship psychology show that one of the strongest predictors of attraction is the feeling of being understood. When someone notices the small things, the unspoken sigh, the hidden joy, or the subtle shift in mood, it creates a bond far stronger than grand gestures. It's not just about remembering details, it's about recognizing the humanity of another person in a way that makes them feel significant. Interestingly, this attentiveness has roots in human evolution. In early societies, survival often depended on noticing small changes in the environment, a broken twig, a shift in animal behavior, or the faintest sound of danger. Those who could observe without reacting impulsively were more likely to protect themselves and their group. The Sigma male's modern-day ability to perceive subtle social signals mirrors this ancient survival skill, except now it translates into emotional safety and trust for those around him. This doesn't mean Sigma males overanalyze or invade someone's privacy. Their power lies in quiet observation without pressure. A woman might be surprised when he remembers something she mentioned in passing weeks earlier, or when he senses her unease in a crowded room without her saying a word. That kind of awareness builds trust and respect because it shows he values more than surface impressions. He values essence. Unlike men who chase validation with words, the Sigma's silence speaks volumes. His attentiveness creates an atmosphere where people feel recognized and cherished, and that more than charm or good looks is what leaves a lasting impression. Number 6, they create mystery through self-mastery. Above all, Sigma males live with discipline, choosing carefully what to reveal and what to protect. This discipline is not about rigid routines or strict schedules alone, but about mastery over one's own choices and actions. In psychology, discipline is often linked with self-regulation, the ability to control impulses, delay gratification, and make decisions that serve long-term goals rather than short-term desires. This quality is rare in a world that often rewards instant gratification, and it is precisely what makes Sigma males stand out. Their restraint naturally creates an air of mystery. Unlike those who put everything on display through words or actions, the Sigma leaves parts of himself unseen, not out of fear, but out of intention. This mystery is compelling because it suggests hidden layers, inviting others, especially women, to wonder what lies beneath the surface. From an evolutionary standpoint, mystery has always been attractive. Anthropologists suggest that unpredictability in behavior signals depth and complexity, qualities that make a person appear more resourceful and intriguing. Women often find themselves drawn to Sigma males not because of loud declarations or obvious charm, but because there is something about them that cannot be easily defined. A man who doesn't reveal everything becomes an ongoing puzzle, and human beings are wired to be curious about what they do not fully understand. This is why in many studies of attraction, subtlety and restraint often outperform overt displays of confidence or wealth. History offers countless examples of figures whose discipline and mystery made them unforgettable. Think of leaders like Marcus Aurelius, who in his meditations showed the balance between self-mastery and silence. Or writers like Ernest Hemingway, who believed that what is left unsaid carries more power than what is explained. Sigma males embody this same principle in everyday life. They are not performing a role or playing games. Their mystery flows naturally from a life lived with boundaries and purpose. In modern culture, where oversharing has become the norm, this quality feels almost revolutionary. Social media encourages constant exposure, posting meals, thoughts, emotions, and every detail of daily life. Against this backdrop, a Sigma male's ability to withhold, to protect his inner world, creates a sharp contrast that makes him unforgettable. Women may not always articulate why, but they sense it. A man who doesn't need to be seen everywhere is often the one worth noticing. Discipline, then, is not just a personal tool. It is a quiet magnetism. It reflects confidence, self-respect, and a deeper understanding that not everything valuable must be displayed. And in the end, it is this balance of protection and revelation that makes Sigma males both mysterious and magnetic. The Sigma male does not try to impress, yet somehow he does. His strength is not wrapped in loud gestures or constant declarations of power, but in the quiet mysteries of his presence. Women are drawn to this, not because he follows some clever strategy, but because he embodies a rare quality: authenticity without performance. In a world where so much interaction is built on posturing, pretending, or projecting, the Sigma's natural way of being feels refreshingly real. This is part of why his presence resonates so deeply. He doesn't sell an image, he simply lives in alignment with who he is. What makes this magnetic is not one single trait, but the combination of subtle elements working together. His silence carries weight because it is not empty. It's filled with thought, awareness, and intention. His independence gives him freedom, not just from social hierarchies, but also from the need to constantly prove himself. His calm energy stands in contrast to the restless noise of modern life, creating a sense of stability that others instinctively find grounding. Depth, too, plays a role. Conversations with him don't skim the surface. They invite curiosity, reflection, and mystery. Interestingly, psychology supports the idea that confidence without arrogance is deeply attractive. Studies in social dynamics show that people are naturally drawn to those who exude calm self-assurance. It signals competence, stability, and leadership, qualities historically associated with survival and success. Women in particular often sense these subtle cues. Evolutionary psychology suggests that such traits reflect a man's ability to remain centered under pressure, a quality linked to protection, reliability, and emotional strength. When a man lives with quiet certainty, without chasing validation, people notice, and women especially feel the pull of that grounded presence. The Sigma's mysterious ways remind us that true power doesn't always need a spotlight. Sometimes it's found in the man who is content to move at his own rhythm, while the world tries to catch up. His presence leaves behind curiosity, admiration, and often a desire to understand the unspoken layers beneath his character. The lesson here is timeless. The most attractive force is not found in seeking approval, but in mastering yourself. When you cultivate calm strength, speak with intention, and walk authentically in your own path, you create a natural magnetism. People will notice not because you demanded attention, but because you radiated something rare in today's world: quiet, unshakable authenticity.